Hey, what is going on, guys? My name is DFree. Welcome back to another Dragon Ball Super review. We're going to be talking about episode 86. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Subscribe if you happen to be new for more awesome content weekly. So anyways, let's talk about the episode. So long story short, the episode is Goku recruiting Android 17. I want to say that I did like, the name dropping of Oob. I'm going to start off there. Well, they didn't really call him Oob, but they kind of, obviously were talking about Oob. They were like, hey, there's this guy. He's got extraordinary potential. He doesn't even know it yet. You should train him later on. He's a reincarnation of Boo and all these different things. So, I don't know, like, this is like the second time, I think, in the series that they've kind of talked about Oob. And it's kind of weird. Goku was like, oh, that kid, I forgot about him. But like in the previous couple arcs ago, he was like, oh yeah, well there we can go get this guy. I don't know who it was, either him or Vegeta, one of those two. Regardless, Oob's a thing, and they're kind of setting up for the end of Super, or the end of Dragon Ball Z, I guess, where Goku has to go off and train Oob. So that's pretty cool. A little bit of foreshadowing there. Of course, we know what's to come. So another thing I thought was cool was that, like, Kami's lookout, or Dende's lookout at this point, was like able to transport. Like, I didn't know that thing was able to transport. Obviously, I thought it just stayed stagnant in the same spot. So I did think that was pretty cool. If I misunderstood that, it did seem like Dende allowed it to kind of just transport with his ability, which is pretty cool. Aside from that, another thing is Android 17, right? Goku was like, hey, is he still like a bad guy, basically? And Popo and Dende were like, hey, yeah, no, he's not. He's even leaps and bounds stronger than he was before. And Goku's like, well, how strong is he now? And Popo was like, well, you have been focused so much on what's going on in outer space, basically, that you're not worried about what's happening here, which is obviously true. Goku doesn't spend a lot of time on Earth anymore. It's pretty funny when you think about it that way, right? But, that's interesting because they're basically implying that 17 is really, really powerful now, because they even say, hey, he would be a tough guy to beat if he was a bad guy now. And we see that, right? We see Goku and 17 get into sparring a little bit later, and we see that clearly. But basically, 17 is on this remote island. It's just an island that has this Minotaurus there. So it's a monster, basically. Not a real, it's like a mythical beast, if you will. Not a real animal. But 17's whole purpose is to be able to protect that thing. He's trying to protect that thing on that island. But constantly poachers and guys like that do show up to the island, so that's why 17 is there. He gets really well paid for the job as well, so he stops them from poaching the animals there, or whatever that thing is, the Minotaur. So Goku gets in, watches 17 do that, helps a little bit, and they have their dialogue. He's like, hey, I never met you, didn't think I'd meet you, that type of stuff, right? One thing that kind of bothered me, which always has bothered me with the show just in general, is God, I hate that they use the Kai clips. Like, please, sometimes they reanimate stuff, and I love it when they do that. But I hate when they use that stupid filter on the flashbacks to show you it's a flashback, and they use the freaking Kai footage. It looks so blatantly different. It just kind of bothers me personally. Like, my OCD can't handle that. That's just me. Let me know in the comments if you're the same way. But aside from that, well, in this episode, like, most of the time I can get over it when it's like one time, but in this episode they did like 4 times. Like, I know they were trying to like establish 17 in the past and stuff like that, which was cool that they're doing that. It's just me personally, I was like, stop it. So 17 and Goku did fight, and at first I didn't think that 17 would be as powerful as he was, but I'm gonna say that I think 17 is the first guy that has fought in all these preliminary episodes where they're just kind of recruiting. I think Goku and 17's fight was probably the one that made the most sense to me. Like, Android 18 coming in and kicking Goku's Kamehameha, I guess, like, that kind of doesn't make sense, really, because Goku's power level, but, like, still, I guess it's feasible. Krillin holding Goku, I mean, Goku had to have been holding back, like, 99.999% of his power for Krillin to even sustain as long as he did. It didn't make a whole lot of sense. A lot of people were mad about that. Krillin and Gohan, whatever, that was just showing off tactics a little bit. But, they did a good job putting over 17 in the beginning of the episode. They said, hey, he's gotten stronger. And if you're familiar with, Dragon Ball as an entity, right, and some of the things Toriyama has said, he said, hey, which is one of the things I liked about this. You could tell that they tried their best, and they did it. They tried their best to stick to what Toriyama said. 17 is a wildlife reserve guy. He really cares about nature. He protects that type of stuff, and that is true to his character. That's what Toriyama said years ago in an interview. He even said, hey, this guy has 3 kids, 2 of which are adopted, and a wife. They even did that in the episode too. And he also said, the most telling thing that he said was, hey, these androids, due to the fact that they have a human base, they were originally humans, and they were just, adopted and then, well, not adopted, but adapted, if you will, and changed up, they can train. And 17 says, hey, what do you think I've been doing? I have been just basically resting, you know, since I was revived with the Dragon Balls. 17 has been training feasibly all this time, just as much as these guys have. And due to his cybernetic parts, I mean, we don't know what this guy's cap is. We don't know how strong he is, you know, aside from the feat of him fighting Goku, because there's no real way to measure his power level because he's an android. So it's kind of a little weird. But, you know, it's cool to see the way that he is portrayed. And his fight with Goku is pretty cool, too. Obviously, they were both holding back, and then 17 cut it all short because they said, hey, if we keep going, we're going to destroy stuff. And obviously, that makes sense. But the most telling thing for me was, you know, Goku's like, hey, I need you to join. And I did like little things like, he was like, 17 said, hey, I don't want to do it because, you know, we're going to be gone for a couple hours, but there's no guarantee that in those couple hours, the poachers don't show up and stuff like that. Well, Goku's like, hey, I'm going to get Goten and Trunks to take care of it while you're gone. And he's like, I know Trunks, but who's Goten? It's like, well, you know Trunks, but you don't know this Trunks. And little things like that is like, you know, I did like the way that they were playing with the whole concept of 17 being gone this whole time. And clearly he's going to be the one guy that's going to be the hardest to recruit for this guy because obviously he doesn't really have any attachment to them. He apparently doesn't care about the same things 18 did. It was pretty easy to get 18 and Krillin in whenever you start talking about money because that's what she's concerned about. And 17's like, hey, I make enough money. So obviously there's contrast between them. And you even saw that in Z, right? Because 18's more materialistic. 17 just is like, he never really cared. Like, you remember that trip with them and 16 in the back, and they were in a truck, and they're just driving. 18's looking at clothes and stuff. You know, I'm not going to get into stereotypes, but the type of thing that a lot of women are into. Not every one of them, because mine isn't even like that. But, you know, that's just kind of how she was. And she held true to that, right? Obviously by blackmailing Hercule, making the deal with him for the money and stuff. So, one thing that I thought it was a little cold-blooded / savage of 17. He was like, hey, I don't really care about us getting eliminated, because Goku had to tell him because 17 kind of caught on. He's like, I don't care about us getting eliminated because we'll all be eliminated at the same time. I was like, but you're kids, bro. Like, you don't care? I mean, like, I can understand if he would have said, like, hey, I don't care about me, but I want to protect my kids. But, like, no, he just was like, yeah, we'll all go. So, apparently they're setting it up to where next episode, more poachers are going to come, obviously from space, it looks like, hunting down that Minotaur thing. It's more trouble than it's worth, apparently, right? But Goku's going to help him, and, you know, he's just going to help him out. And from there, 17 will probably accept the offer, you know, so it is what it is. I just hope that 17 doesn't say, hey, I want to protect this Minotaur, you know, as opposed to I want to protect my family. So we'll see. But I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Subscribe if you're new. We do this every week. We do reviews and stuff. So hope you enjoyed it. Subscribe. All that other good stuff. Have an awesome day. Easter Sunday, by the way. I'm a little bit late at this. But, yeah, I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.